Those intrusive thoughts that pop up into your head that causes anxieties and fears, yeah, those aren't your thoughts. That's not you. Whenever a thought pops up into our head, we tend to start thinking. And there's a difference between a thought and thinking. Thought is the random things that pop up into your head that you don't really have any control over. But thinking is when you ponder upon those thoughts and dive deeper into them. And those things can be a great thing when you think about creatives. A lot of times they'll be doing something randomly and a thought will pop up into their head and they will start pondering upon that thought and create beautiful things into this material world. But it can also be a negative because a lot of times we have these negative thoughts that pop up into our head. And instead of realizing that the thoughts are on our own, we begin thinking from that original thought and spiraling into anxieties and fears and creating more thoughts around that original thought. But the truth of the matter is that you are not your thoughts. We all know this. We see it every single day. How many times have you had a random thought and it came out of nowhere, and then next thing you know, you see someone else online talking about that same thing? Or you have this random idea that pops up into your head, and a few months later, you see someone actually took action behind that first thought that you had. Think of thoughts like a radio, okay? Let's say you're just driving in a car, it's just you and this broken radio in your car. You have no control over what station it's going to pop up on, and random things will just start, speaking. The same is true for your thoughts, right? Because you don't have control over what pops up, but you do have control over what you allow and consent to as your own. So when we're thinking in the terms of manifesting, a lot of times when it comes to anxious people or people with intrusive thoughts or fearful thoughts, a lot of times we kind of fear the idea of manifesting because we think that our thoughts can manifest in reality, even the negative ones. But the truth is, despite what a lot of manifestation coaches speak about, is that affirming is key. Affirming and your thoughts have power and they're true. It's not the thoughts are affirming that has the power. It is your belief system around those thoughts. If you're constantly saying in the mirror over and over again, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. You can do this your entire life. But until you have a true belief that you are rich, you will not be rich. The same is true for those negative, intrusive thoughts that pop up that you fear. They're not going to manifest in your reality because it's not a true belief that you have. They're random thoughts. And when you give them energy and attention, they just spiral into more negative thoughts and more thinking. You think just because you have positive thoughts that you start thinking and pondering upon, you have to do the same thing for the negative ones. But you get to choose what thoughts stick with you and create your reality. You get to choose that. Nobody else. You get to choose what you allow. Those thoughts that pop up, even the positive ones, you don't have to allow them. A lot of times people will have positive thoughts, but if they are living in a depressive energy, those positive thoughts will begin to spiral into negative ones. Someone could have a positive thought of, I feel so pretty today. And the next thought that pops up is, no, you're not pretty. You get to decide which thought that you focus on and ponder upon. Yes, I am so pretty. I feel so amazing today. My energy is so magnetic and amazing, and I feel so powerful and beautiful. Or you can spiral into, I'm not pretty. No one ever looks at me. I'm so unimportant. You get to decide what you start thinking about. And I learned this through mindfulness because as someone who has struggled with anxiety for a long time, I have really found the keys, to combat all of this anxiousness that pops up into my head, to not allow it to dictate my life. And I have read many books, The Power of Now, Untethered Soul, A New Earth. I can't remember all of the books, and they start to jumble up because all of them have similarities. They just speak different languages. And one of the books I read was talking about how your thoughtful mind, the mind that has random thoughts, is like a chaotic friend. You have to live with that friend. You have to love that friend and accept that friend, but you don't have to agree with whatever comes out their mouth. Because let's be real, your thoughts are so contradicting. They're not reliable because they're random and you don't have no idea what they'll say at any given moment. At one moment, they'll be freaking out like, oh my God, you are not gonna ace this test, or you are not gonna get the job. Like, what if you don't get it? Like, oh, you feel real anxious right now, don't you? You're probably not gonna do X, Y, and Z, or get X, Y, and Z, or get what you want. And in the very next moment in your reality, you get the very thing that your mom was once saying you weren't gonna get or you didn't have. Contradicting. So why would you believe it? In the book, it literally said, why do you believe something that has lied to you time and time again? Your thoughts are not your own. You get to accept what is in your reality. You get to accept and allow that energy. Where intention flows, energy goes, right? Is that how it goes? Where energy flows, intention goes? One or the other. But that is true. Whatever you truly believe in and whatever you put your intention into and becomes a core belief within you, that is your truth. The random thoughts that pop into your head are just thoughts. And in The Power of Now, he talks about how we're supposed to be the observer of our thoughts. So I want you to do a quick little challenge with me right now. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say hello to yourself in your head. Now, who just heard hello? And if you don't hear in your brain and you see, then who just saw the word hello pop up? Who was it that heard or saw that word? Who was that? Because if you just said hello, how can you have heard it? How could you have seen it? You are the observer watching those thoughts come up. They are not you. You get to pick and allow what is true in your life. For me, out of nowhere, I gained a fear out of planes. Now, I've always had a fear of heights. I've always had a fear of planes ever since I was a little girl. And I still am working through that fear of planes, but I started having a fear of planes crashing and hitting my house and everybody dying. I know, crazy fear that popped up to my head that I started to fester on, and it created more anxiety to the point where every single night when I would go to sleep, it's like the planes that flew over my house would get louder. Throughout the day, I never hear planes, but for some reason, right when I'm going to sleep, that's when they want to be their loudest and most active. And that thought would come up every single time, and I would have anxiety throughout my entire body, and I'd be shaking and scared until the plane would pass and I could no longer hear it. And it got so bad to the point where I had to rewire my brain by doing a lot of mirror work and knowing that I am safe and secure and I will always be okay no matter what. And that helped tremendously to the point where I was able to really observe my thoughts as it was happening and laugh at myself. Truly, laugh at those crazy thoughts that come up, because you will be surprised how quickly they go, and how that energy that you once had about that was anxious, how quickly you can transmute that energy into joy and laughter and playfulness. Because what are these random thoughts that are popping up? Be serious. You contradict yourself all the time. You say this every time that something's going to happen and it never does. So why would I believe you? So laugh at it. And it's not something to argue with. Don't argue with your thoughts. Observe them, let them come, let them go. You don't have to judge them. I laugh at mine personally. And there are times where I can let them come and go and I don't laugh, or I'm very neutral about the thoughts. And then sometimes they're just so outrageous that I have to laugh. And sometimes they're so outrageous that I have to be like, what are you talking about, girl? That's not true. And sometimes I do kind of judge a little bit and be like, what are you talking about? That's not true. And I start to go into the thinking of the positive aspect of me that I know that I choose to be. So with that being said, laugh at your thoughts, because it is so unserious. When you truly start to pay attention and you start being mindful and present in the moment, you start to really see your thoughts as just a joke, as just a radio station that randomly tunes into something. You do not have to start thinking when a thought pops up. You get to choose whatever thoughts that pop up. You get to choose which one of those that you focus on. Okay? You do not have to focus on those intrusive thoughts because they are not your own. Laugh at yourself. This is funny. This is a joke. It's so unserious, because you would never randomly think of this. This isn't you. It was just random. Everyone is connected to an energy field of thoughts. That is why it is so easy for multiple people to have the same idea, and it's just survival of the person who creates it into the material world the fastest that wins, right? Your original thoughts, they're not really original. And they're not your own. But when you start to think upon those thoughts and you put your own spin on it, that's what makes it you. There's always some aspect of it that makes it you. But that original thought, it's been in multiple people's head because it's an energy. As soon as it comes, it leaves and it goes to somebody else that wants to fester upon it. You have the choice. You have the power. It's you. You are the powerful one. You are the one in control. Your thoughts do not control you, so do not let them. Your mind is so powerful that it will believe that your thoughts control you. That's how powerful you are. But when you truly know your power, you know that you're in control. Thoughts are random. They pop up. You get to decide your truth. You get to decide your belief system and your reality. So I really hope that this helped you overcome your fears and anxieties and combat that and unblock whatever you have within you. This is a process, so do not beat yourself up if you find yourself starting to ponder upon these negative thoughts. It's all about remembering. Every single time you get lost in a trance in your thinking and your thoughts, it's all about remembering, like, oh, I remember that I get to choose this. This isn't my reality that I choose. And coming back to center, it's not about judging and being angry at yourself that you relapse, because it's not a relapse. It's just about re-remembering every time. So re-remember. In the midst of doing it, re-remember, because the more you do it, the more you will remember, to the point where they will no longer affect you, to the point where they'll no longer pop up in your head, because they know you're not going to give it the energy that it wants. Because that's another thing. Your mind isn't bad. It's not here to, because it intentionally wants to cause you harm. It's more so that energy in the grand scheme of things is just energy at its rawest form. And so is your mind and like the observer of you. There's no good and bad, no negative and positive. This is within our like humanistic world, in this material society that we have, contradicting things like good and bad, positive and negative, dark and light. But truly at its rawest form, energy is just simply energy. And your ego is going to continue to do things to keep you alive. It wants you to survive. And it only knows what you have already experienced. It doesn't know the unknown. So it fears the unknown. So it's going to continue to push these fears and anxieties and thoughts that pop up into your head, because it knows it'll trigger you to be fearful and anxious, because you've always been fearful and anxious. But guess what? You've always been fearful and anxious, and you've always been alive. So your ego is going to continue to do those things because it thinks that is the only way to keep you alive. But when you start to realize you have the power and you do not have to give these random thoughts your energy, is when your ego starts to be like, okay, like I don't have to sit here and send these random thoughts to you to trigger your anxiety or fear, because you're okay and you're safe even when you're not fearful and anxious. So keep that in mind, guys. This is all a journey. It's all a part of your life path, and eventually you're going to come out on the top. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Elle, and I am a spiritual creative. This is my spiritual channel. I also have a creative channel where I paint and talk about all things creativity. And I also have a Patreon where I dive even deeper on spiritual and creative topics. All of that will be linked below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.